Hey guys, welcome back to another exciting episode of Making an Impact. Your host, Jose Zavalza here, with my special guest, Angel Pelayo. And just
Hey
to kind of
guys.
give you guys a quick little background on Angel, I met him at the ripe age of 19 years old when he
Correct.
first got his real estate license, and that was in 2020. And in the 4 years that he's been in this real estate business that we're all in, he is now developing land, buying land, developing land, selling
Correct.
new construction properties, and we're going to be discussing that because it's a part of our business that not a lot of people know about, but it's also a part of our business that a lot of people have a lot of questions about. So, Angel, thank you for being here today, my man. I guess take us back. In 2020 when I met you, obviously you were selling real estate, and I know
Correct.
you were selling mostly land. But
That's
tell
actually
me a
correct.
little bit about, how did you get started at such a young age in buying land? What influences did you have? What kind of led you to where you are right now?
I had to give a major shout out to my father and my family themselves, just because they're the ones that paved the road for me. They're the ones that built the foundation. So I was raised, going to these vacant lots and seeing what my father would do with them. Same thing with my uncle. So it was super interesting to see why would they buy land? Like, it's just dirt. But for them, it was a whole different scenario. They're in charge of what they're gonna do with it. We're gonna build a house that's 1,600 square feet, or we're gonna build a house that's 2,500 square feet. So what I found so cool was that they're designing homes and just getting rid of them for like flips. So I found it really really cool how a vacant land goes into a home. I just found that really really cool. So
So at a young age, you would just join your dad, join your family,
absolutely
and you'd be like almost like my son when I come and take him along on a flip, right?
correct.
You're kind of just there, but it actually developed and is now part of what you do every day. So
Absolutely.
you would see these land sites, you'd see your dad, your family
My
buy
family.
the land, and then you'd see him build properties, and then they'd sell it obviously for a profit, right?
Correct.
And essentially that's what you're doing now. But I see you doing that, number one,
Mhm.
at a much younger age, and number two, obviously at a much faster pace.
Correct.
So tell us exactly, like, is did you not want to sell real estate? Did you just naturally get pushed into developing, or I guess how did it all get to you? How did it all get to this place? Because again, if you look at the
Correct.
normal trajectory of a real
Real
estate
estate
agent,
agent.
their first year is learning how to prospect,
Correct.
lead generate, to get buyers and sellers and things like that.
Correct.
Then they master that concept, and then they kind of go into something else. It seemed like you just stepped right into this, right?
Absolutely.
What learning curves did you kind of go through? What did you experience to say, or what experiences did you have to go through to get you to where you are now?
Just taking the risk and really taking full control of the permits and the developing aspect of it. So when we would start a project, my father would go to the county building and safety and get his permits approved. But my father came to a point where he didn't want to do that no more. So he left that responsibility on me. And till this day, I'm learning something new every single day about entitlement, about utilities and permits. So for me to take that jump into, taking responsibility and getting these permits approved, that helped me, learn a whole different ball of real estate, especially, making the right team with contractors, architects, engineers, just because there's so much background things that I do to get these plans approved. So I
Gotcha.
think it just all started with me just taking the risk and getting these plans approved.
So number one, you're saying is just you just made a decision. You
Just
made
made
a
a
decision.
decision.
You took a risk, right?
Correct.
Now with so much land, especially out
Mhm.
here in the Antelope Valley, you have Palmdale, Little Rock,
Correct.
Lake LA, Roseman, Cal City. How do you know what land you're going to buy to develop?
That's a really good question. Really good question. I mean, for me, there's three pointers that I look at. One of them is going to be drainage, because water is your biggest enemy. So we preferably buy lots that are flat, so we can avoid grading and dealing with that issue with drainage. Second is utilities, just because it has happened to us where, hey, the fire hydrant's too far, you have to pay for a new fire hydrant. So we always try to take a really good look at utilities, and that's electrical, gas, and water.
Gotcha.
And the third one will just, it will honestly be, the third one would, for me would be just how, if there's any easements that's disturbing the property, and just checking the actual title of the property.
Gotcha. So what you're saying is grading, and that's, or drainage, I should
Drainage,
say.
correct,
Drainage is
drainage.
number one.
Number one.
Water is your biggest enemy.
Absolutely.
Out here in the desert, it's almost like, it's ironic that we get a lot, because we don't get a lot of rain.
Yeah.
But because of the topography that we're in,
Correct.
when we do get rain, it comes in floods in some cases,
Absolutely.
right? So you look for draining and grading, right? That's
Correct.
number one. Because I would imagine it's a big cost. It's a big expense.
Huge cost.
So if you do have some drainage issues, you have to grade the land. It just
Absolutely.
adds to or taking away
Adds
from
to
your
the bill.
bottom line, right?
Absolutely.
Number two, you said it was utilities. I have heard that water is one of the biggest, most expensive ones. So I get what you're saying there. But
Correct.
then you factor in electrical
Electrical and your gas.
and gas. Now, ideally, how far away should these utilities be in order for it to make sense?
In order to make sense, I mean, you obviously want a fire hydrant about no less than 600 feet away from your property.
Okay.
If not, you're required to put one in. So that's one for water. Gas, I mean, if it's not on your side, you're paying about $100 a foot to extend the gas line. So it's a lot of
It
money.
just starts to add, and then how about electrical?
Electrical, so we take a look at the poles. A lot of people think that they're electrical poles, but in reality, they could be an AT&T pole or they could be something else.
Really?
So, yeah, so you always want to keep an eye to make sure it's a SoCal Edison pole.
Okay, do you guys ever look at plumbing, or is plumbing a big factor?
Not really. I mean, there's only two types of plumbing. One of them is going to be septic as well as sewer.
Gotcha.
So, it's nothing too crazy. I don't really take a look at that.
So if it's sewer, do you just plumb into it, as
Yeah,
they
you
say?
plumb
You just
into it. So
kind of.
You're going to call the city or the county, depending where you're at, so you can get a plumbing permit so you guys could tap into the sewer. But if it's a septic, it's all up on you just to do all your plumbing and install a septic tank.
Gotcha. That would make sense. So you look at the land, and then after you look at those three criteria.
Correct.
Which the last one was the easements, right?
Yeah,
Make
the
sure that it's a clear
easements,
title, right?
Absolutely.
What's the next step after that? Do you then draw up a design?
Correct. So you're going to go with a local architect and sit down and just come up with a design, really figure out what you're trying to build. So it's always good to, go with a contractor as well, just because they could give you an idea. It's kind of hard to exactly answer, how much is this going to take for me to build, just because there's a lot of details. You're not sure if you're going to put a tile roof or a shingle roof, if you're going to have 9 feet ceilings, 15 feet ceilings. So it's kind of difficult. So I always recommend sitting down for architect as well as a contractor.
Does an architect have like a set of plans already pre-existing that you guys modify, or is
Yeah.
everyone that you develop like a custom?
Yeah, my architect has a lot of plans from cookie cutters to custom homes. And a lot of people think, if I buy this specific plan, it's going to be super easy to pass the permits again just because it was barely approved. But in reality, it doesn't work like that because every lot and every plan's different. So, it's just all really figuring out what exactly you want to do, how much you want to put in, and as well as your budget.
So if I said, hey, I want to buy a 2-acre piece of land,
Correct.
It checks off the boxes when it
Correct.
comes to drainage and utilities and all that stuff, right? Can I come to you with a vision and say,
Absolutely.
I want a 3,000, 4,000 square foot, ranch style home,
Correct.
and you guys design that?
Absolutely.
Is there a huge cost to that?
Not really. I mean, all it really depends is on your details. As I said, I don't know if you want 10-foot ceilings or Spanish shingle roof. All that really plays into factor.
Like a basement and a booby trap and a hiding place and all this stuff, right? And a doomsday prep area, all that stuff adds
Correct.
it, right?
That's why I always make sure you guys sit down for architects so I can see what exactly you've drawn on the paper.
And from start to finish, what time frame are we looking at? I mean, obviously, I know there's a lot of things in between that we missed, like inspections
Yeah.
and the
Permitting
labor
all
and
that,
permitting and all that
entitlement.
stuff.
So, I mean, right now I'm averaging about 7 to 9 months in just permits and entitlement. And actual construction of it's only about 3 to 4 months.
So it can be over a year.
Over a year, yeah, around there. Just because
Wow.
permitting right now, they're super backed up. Especially over here at Building and Safety on the county side. There's only one plan checker for the fire department, so there's only one person reviewing about maybe 400 to 600 plans a month.
Wow. So that person's busy.
Busy.
And I'm
So-
sure that keeps you guys maybe with your fingers or your arms crossed because you really can't do anything.
Correct. Just because you need this approval, so you could go on to the next approval. So there's a bunch of stuff that kind of holds us up.
So do you guys do one site at a time, one construction site or one development at a time, or is it just managing different ones because of the time frames that they're in?
Correct. So construction-wise, we don't mind building 2, 3 at a time. Just permitting, we go all in just because permits take forever. So we rather just get a head start on the permitting and entitlement.
So you guys, right now, you guys are handling 2 to 3 developments at a time, is
Yeah,
what you're saying?
construction-wise.
Construction-wise.
Permitting, I have about maybe 16, 18, like
Oh, wow.
ADUs, single families, additions, stuff like that.
So not only do you guys are in actual development of a new property, but also
ADUs and additions.
and additions to existing
To
houses.
existing homes, correct.
So I guess from you being young, which one do you enjoy the most? I mean,
I think to me, it's just starting new. I think it's so beautiful to see everything getting put together, and people don't really know starting with something comes out cheaper than actually dealing with something. So, because I'm pretty sure you know about flips and all that. Seems like a headache. Oh, you know what? I gotta take away the drywall, the baseboard, rip all this out instead of like, oh, you know what? I'm starting from the ground up, which
Yeah.
is way easier because as you go is how it's gonna be finished.
yeah, the way I see a flip is that I have to
kinda
work
open
with
up
what I already
correct.
have versus you building it from start,
From scratch.
and almost like creating the vision in front of you.
So it's really cool. And I mean, as they would say too, it's like opening a can of worms when you buy a flip.
Yeah.
So I mean, so I'm super happy to see the whole development aspect of it, just because you're the one starting with everything.
And how long would you say that you've been? Are you on your own? Are you doing things on your own now? Are you still working with your family?
I'm still working with my family, and I love it. To me, it's a blessing. I got to wake up, and my business partners, my father, and my family themselves, my uncles. I'm just super grateful to be in the position I am to be working with them, just because I think they're one of the most smartest people I know. But by myself, yeah, I've picked up a couple job sites, and that just become off of real estate. So, the listings I get, I deal with home buyers, and usually they give me referrals like, oh, you know what, my uncle actually wants to build a home, or this lady wants to build a home as well, or wants to build an ADU.
Yeah.
So, at the end of the day, I do pick up job sites by myself, but a good majority of it just
It's
comes
still
from my family.
it's still the family business, right?
Family business, correct.
Now, being obviously working multiple sites, it looks like you guys have a large pipeline
Yeah.
of projects coming out, in the
Correct.
near future. What are some of the craziest things, or what have been some of the challenges that you guys go through?
So I remember my second year in real estate, I sold a lot to one of my father's business partners. By the time we hit the point where we can install our water meter, we get a phone call from the fire department, and they're telling us, hey, you know what? You guys are too far from a fire hydrant. You guys are going to have to install one. So we're just like,
Okay, we doubt it's gonna be expensive.
So we started to get bids, and we didn't know the fire hydrant. The best bid we found was $35,000.
$35,000 to install a fire hydrant.
And we also had to get plans for a fire hydrant. You just don't go buy a fire hydrant and install
They
it.
just dig a hole and just put it
Yeah,
there.
no, it doesn't work like
So all in, how much was that extra cost?
Okay, the plans were about $3,500, and the actual job was about $35,000.
Wow. So all in about almost 40.
Yeah, about $40,000, and it sucks just because if we didn't do it, they want to give us our building permit.
And that just added also more expenses and a time delay.
A time delay that took us about a year to get it done. About a year. Yeah, so it sucks just because a lot of people don't actually see the backgrounds it takes to build a home.
And how do you, as a developer, and obviously there's budgets that are already kind of been discussed, how do you explain that to a client of yours that, hey, you know what, we measured wrong, or
Correct.
what we thought was there isn't there, I need more money, I need
Correct.
more in the budget, or we're going to have to lessen some other things over here so that we can make room for that. How do you explain that? I mean, I know it's sales at the end of the day, right? But that's got to be a different topic, right? That you discuss with them. So how do you explain it? How do they take it in? And I mean,
It's so funny because he's telling me it's going to come out my commission just because the house that we bought the fire hydrant for, it's going to be one of my listings. So he jokingly said, oh, you know what? Either way, you're going to pay me back for it on your commission.
and does it happen that way?
No. So, I mean, thankfully, I was able to help him out, save money with some other stuff. Just because when you do install a fire hydrant, you do get reimbursement of the future builders that build in the area.
Oh, okay,
So
that's cool.
It's a little cool thing that the county does. Like, hey, you know what? Since you bought the fire hydrant, installed it, the people that are going to build in the area, they're going to be paying you a reimbursement fee.
But you also have to wait until they build.
That's the thing.
Yeah,
That's the
and that
issue.
could be years or never happen.
You never know.
You never know.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
we got that little safety net right there, but
Gotcha.
it was very tough news, and it just hurt just because me as a real estate agent, I'm the one that sold him the lot, so I was the one that had to deliver the news to him.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And what's been the toughest one? The toughest one that you've had to deal with? I mean, I know that that's a challenge that you went through, but what's been one that really stressed you out, if there are any?
I mean, there's a specific property, and that property is the one I'm actually building on. The whole property, I wasn't properly educated or informed about what it means when a property is restricted use of area. So that right there, it had 5 conditions that I had to meet. And I was scared just because one of the conditions was give the property right to restrict any buildings. So that was a big learning curve just because at that point, I thought the lot was unbuildable. So I was stuck in a very tough position just because I was like, what did I do that? So a lot that wasn't buildable.
Yeah.
But thankfully, I took over the project, and it was just a big learning curve.
A lot of stress.
A lot of stress, but thankfully I was able to meet the 5 conditions, and I got the building permit.
And again, did that take time and money, just like
Correct.
anything else?
Time and money. So I had to deal with 5 conditions. One of them was make sure that the fire truck could drive on the street. 2 of the other 5 conditions were easements, and one of them was to provide a hydrology report. And the hydrology report was to make a study to see how much the rain rises up, just because they thought the property was in a flood zone.
I see.
So as I said, water is your biggest enemy with development.
Gotcha. And I'm sure being young, you're 23 years old,
Yeah,
right?
23.
And the success that you've had, because in my eyes, again,
Yeah.
I met you very young.
Correct.
And I think we were talking off the camera here a little bit ago, is that it's cool to see people that have worked with me,
Yeah.
at a young age, or quite frankly, at any age.
Correct.
On how they blossom and how they grow. And you, my friend, are, again, the fact that you're 23 is super cool because you have a lifetime ahead of you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You can probably retire by the time you're my age, and be at a much farther, pace than what I was at 23.
Correct.
But I'm sure you get hit up all the time.
Yeah.
With ideas, or people want to partner with you.
Correct.
Or just something, right?
Yeah.
What do you say to those people?
You know what? I just put them on hold just because I feel like I'm not ready. I mean, a lot of people look at me like, oh, you have the answers for everything. But in reality, a lot of people don't know. I'm still learning. So I just want to really master my craft and just become really good at what I do at. So I feel like I got to hit a certain stage where I could start, hopefully one day, helping out other people and going on business ventures with other people, and maybe do something similar as you with the whole coaching.
I commend you for that, because I know there's a lot of people that would take a partnership.
Correct.
And would look at the cash
Yeah.
or the result, which is
The
the
result,
cash.
correct.
You respectively said, not right now.
Correct.
Let me continue learning more so that I feel comfortable. Then we'll talk later.
Absolutely.
Right? I commend you for that, because not a lot of people would do that and have the what's the word? The courage.
The courage,
to say
correct.
that. You know what I mean? Again, I've made the mistakes of partnering up with people in the past, just because it sounds exciting.
Correct.
You know what I mean? And then you kind of go through this learning curve, and you're like, oh crap, what did I do? Or we messed up, or whatever the case is. And it's a more of a process to get out of it
Absolutely.
than what it was to get into it. Again, you're saying, no, I'm not ready yet.
Correct.
Give me a couple more years, give me a few months, whatever the case is.
Yeah.
And then we'll talk. You know what I
Absolutely.
mean? Off camera, you were also telling me that you are building your own house right now.
Yeah, it's
How
really-
cool is that?
It's exciting. It doesn't even sound real. Like every day I drive by it and it just doesn't feel real. Like I just
Yeah.
can't believe I'm building my first one. I always grew up watching my father and my dad, build the homes and write the checks. And now I'm in the position of me building my first home, and I'm the one writing the checks. So that hurts as well.
That's a double whammy, right? It's
Double whammy.
exciting, it's surreal at the same time, and then you're like, oh wait, I still gotta pay for it, right?
Correct.
So when in building your first house, what
Yeah.
were some of the things that you were looking for to add or space? What was your criteria for a piece of land and again the property itself?
So my criteria was, was making it really nice just because I'm going to be keeping the home and I'm going to use it as a symbol of what it costs for me to actually get the building permit and for to help me expand with business so I could show people, yeah, I built my first home. So a good criteria of it was being cost effective, but also, adding a couple nice details. Like my porch, it was only supposed to be 8 feet tall, but I raised it to 9.5 feet tall. So it looks really nice when you go, you see a really big porch. Not only that too, I invested a bit more money into the shingle roof. So I bought some really nice looking shingle roof as well. And I just had a meeting with my stucco people on Saturday so we could discuss about the type of stucco finish, the colors, and I also went to go look at the stone ledger. I don't know if you know what that is, like the little stones that people put outside their houses.
In the front elevation of it?
Yeah,
Okay.
correct. Yeah, so
Okay.
I'm working on that just because I really want the outside of the house just to really bring some attention. So.
And how big is, just out of curiosity,
yeah.
how big is it? Like a 3,000
No.
mansion, square foot mansion right now? Or?
No, I wish. It's honestly a cookie cutter. It's about 1,685 square feet.
Okay.
4 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms.
Nice. So it has it'll have its nice touches, but
Correct.
it's also very cozy in a way, right?
It's cozy, yeah. It's something small. I think it's a perfect first-time home for someone that's going to raise a family, or for someone that's going to buy their first home.
And again, I commend you for that because again, when someone as young as you is introduced to success early on,
Correct.
a lot of people take that success and they just go buy,
Yeah.
quite frankly, a lot of dumb stuff. You know what I mean?
That's absolutely correct.
Cars. I'm not saying that trips are dumb, but I'm
Yeah.
saying they can get very costly.
Absolutely.
But if anything, they spend their money in the wrong areas.
Yeah.
And then they have nothing to show for it. You said, this is a home that I'm building,
Yeah.
and I'm going to keep it as a symbol
Correct.
that this was my first home that I developed for myself. It's almost like you don't have kids, but
Yeah, I don't have no kids.
in 20 years,
Yeah.
when your kids are old enough, you're going to say, hey, mijo, that
the
was
first
my first house, and I built it, and I'm going to teach you,
Absolutely.
the trade, right?
Absolutely. Every house that I drive by, and I'm just like, wow, my father and my uncle, I just see them. I just see them in those houses. So it means a lot to me just because it's something that they're leaving behind because these houses are going to stand up for the next hundreds of years.
Yeah.
So it's really exciting to see the details that they've added and just seeing the hard work that goes behind the house.
As a dad, I have an 18-year-old son, and as a dad, I am, and again, as my dad did, he set a platform for me,
Correct.
and I am setting a platform for my son, right?
Absolutely.
What platform are you building or working towards that you can leave? I guess the next generation for the Pelayo family.
For the Pelayo family, I think it will be the same thing with real estate and developments, but I do want to open up a construction company hopefully soon, a construction company, and hopefully jump into multifamily construction. So building triplexes or quadplex or even a apartment. So that's the end goal. Just because these houses are really cool, but I really want to jump in the bigger league.
If you wanted to, can you jump into that now?
We do got 2 parcels that are zoned for multifamily, so we honestly could.
You just haven't.
We haven't took the risk.
You haven't
just
took
yet.
the risk yet.
Yeah,
Is it just completely different, or
yeah, it's super completely
Is it
different.
really? Okay.
As well as cost. So yeah, cost is all the way up there. So we're just trying to finish out our single family homes and just hopefully jump on that.
That's awesome.
Uh-huh.
So how do I guess what is your, again, you're 23 and I can say, what do the next 5 to 10 years look like for you, right? I know you mentioned a construction company. And again, I'm going to go back to the comment that I made earlier and said, I'm sure there's a lot of people that
Correct.
call you, text you, just reach out to you and say, hey, I got an idea. Hey, how do you do this? Has there ever been a plan to put a course together
Yeah.
or some type of classes or coaching sessions, if you will?
Absolutely, absolutely. I always like to look at your social media and just to see what you're doing with your company just makes me it just has me like, wow, he's really coaching and just actually getting to know you and seeing the hard work that you put behind it. I'm just like, wow, I really want to do something like that as well too.
Yeah, I think a lot of people would look forward to that.
Yeah.
I've one of my dreams has always been to build my home,
Correct.
my own home. I don't know if I'll build it here in Palmdale or in the Antelope Valley
Yeah.
just yet, but it's always been a dream of mine. You know what I mean? Just because, again, it goes from the land to the foundation,
Foundation, I
to
see
the framing and then everything else, and then you walk into and then you see your home, and it's just, I'm sure it's an amazing feeling.
Yeah, it's crazy how fast it goes by, and just to see the final product is I'm just like, wow.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. I'm sure it's awesome. So how do people connect with you, Angel?
You guys can follow me on social media, so that's Facebook, Instagram, and my Instagram is Pelayo Properties, and my Facebook is just my name, Angel Pelayo.
Awesome, guys. Well, thank you, Angel, for your
No,
time.
thank you for inviting
I
me.
appreciate it because I know you're busy. You're probably
Yeah.
going to head over to the county right now after this
got
and
some
get
stuff.
some plans, in the permit process or whatever. So I
Absolutely.
really appreciate your time. Like I said, it's been a minute since we've talked, so
Yeah,
even
no, it's
even
great to
catching
catch
up was
up.
catching up. So make sure you guys follow Angel Pelayo at Pelayo Properties on Instagram and Angel Pelayo
Pelayo
on
on
Facebook.
Facebook.
And guys, this is the future. And if you're not
Hopefully.
following him, follow him now because he is the future of what real estate development looks like. So,
thank you.
like, share, subscribe, share the message with everybody. We appreciate your support and love. Till the next time, take care. Bye bye.